coming to you, coming to you, coming to you from what's this? Coming to you more dead than alive from the Beer to Whiskey Studios in the taproom floor of Greenville Beer Exchange, or GBX, as the cool kids like to call it, on South Lawrence Street in glorious downtown Greenville, South Carolina. South Lawrence Street, by the way, is about a block and a half long.
Yeah.
So you'll miss it. Don't blink. You'll miss it. In glorious downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five, where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, our resident certified Cicerone, to pick a beer from one of GBX's 22 or so taps, or hundreds of cans and bottles that are in the retail store that you see behind us. And we sniff, we sip, we kibitz. John tells us a little bit about the brewery, and we learn a little bit about brewing occasionally. And having said all that, John, I like the looks of this. What is it?
This is a beer from Fremont Brewing up in Seattle. And when they first started showing up down here, I thought, man, I wonder if this is one of the breweries that I remember so fondly from living in Portland. But they weren't around when I was living in Portland. It didn't come until 2007, I think, or 2009. I think I left Portland 2007. So they couldn't have had them then. But when they came around here, I was like, I know this brewery and I've had their beer, and I still honestly haven't solved that mystery. I assume someone must have brought me a bottle. Someone, did a beer trade or flew out there and came back. And when I found this great beer here, you should have one. But it's so cool to have them around in South Carolina now, because they're still, well, I guess they're a fairly big brewery now. I don't have a number for you, but I know they're brewing on a 80-barrel system in a second brewing facility in Seattle. So two full-time brewing facilities going. One of them's that big. So they're brewing a lot of beer, but they're brewing these. I'm pointing at my phone because I'm about to pick it up. But they're brewing these kind of really wonderful things that are outside of the norm of even styles. Because this isn't a stout.
Don't they use actual rainwater
Probably.
to brew?
Probably.
I just made that up.
They do a lot of sustainability things. I would be surprised, though, if they
don't run out of rainwater there.
No.
That's for damn sure.
And that said, Sierra Nevada, when they built their place up in Mills River, they designed their parking lot to be a giant rain cistern so they could use the rainwater for, industrial water, the water they're not going to use to brew. So everything else they use water for or cooking comes from the cistern that collects water out of their parking lot, which is really cool. So I'd be surprised if Fremont's not doing things like that too, because they're a very sustainability-focused brewery.
And it rains a lot there.
And
my point was it rains a lot there. Maybe that was a little vague.
I got the point.
Okay. I just want it sounded funnier.
I just decided to be serious about it instead of making a joke.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All that to say, we have a beer from them called Bourbon, which is a winter ale. But I'm going to read this from off of their website because I like doing things when people take the time to do things like this. I like to give them credit for it. And there's some fun things in their description, one of which has I don't know how to do anything with this, that says this beer is called Bourbon, formerly known as Bourbon Abominable.
So, makes sense in sort of a quirky.
Yeah. I mean, I think
way.
That is a great name, and I don't know why it's not still called that, except that I also like Bourbon.
I do too.
And I don't know if it's B-Bomb or B-Bomb, but in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, their band is called Sex B-Bomb. And I just call everything that's close to that, if
Ba-bomb.
it's B-Bomb, it's if it's anything like that.
I like the bomb.
Yeah. There's another brewery nearby here that brews a beer called F B-Bomb. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm calling that one too. So it just all sounds right. Anyway,
clever.
This year's release of B-Bomb, it says here, is aged in 8 to 12-year-old American oak bourbon barrels and is a blend of 9, 12, and 24-month-old barrel-aged winter ale. And then they go into some flavor notes and whatnot, all the things that barrels do to beer. And then it says, please do enjoy this unique barrel-aged ale today, but know that B-Bomb will age gracefully for at least another 5 years. And then in bold, don't be afraid to be abominable. So bring it all the way back around. And I love that. I love when people take the time to do things like that are engaging and fun and make you want to be a part of it.
Fun and marketing, we call that.
Yes. I love when it's done well. I love being marketed to. When it's not done well, it makes me want to do evil, horrible things to people who probably don't deserve it.
Sucker punch a nun? Nut kick an orphan? What? How bad does it get?
It gets bad, Russ.
Okay. Just wondering.
Let's drink a beer.
I was trying to paint a picture.
Yeah. So, despite what this looks like, not actually a stout, a winter ale, but aged in a bunch of bourbon barrels.
Excellent slowly.
There we go. I love being right on time when we hit the table like that, too. It just always feels good.
It's 4 years of doing this stuff.
You get to know. Oh, I think I took too big of a sip anyway, but man, wow, what a big beer that is.
That is
delicious. So good. And there's so much going on. I feel like I taste the alcohol first in this, and it's very quick. And it's a little bit of fermentation flavors I think I'm transferring into there, like the plums and dates and raisins thing again.
What's the ABV?
14.7.
Jesus, I was afraid
it's
that's
a
what
monster.
It was.
Monster this thing is. And it's so smooth. So you get a little of that, then you get some barrel. There's actually a lot of wood in there. Barrel comes right after that. Then you start getting like vanilla and a little spicy, peppery coriander kind of thing.
Chocolate.
And then it turns into, I think, even a little toffee first, and then you settle into chocolate and the espresso and the coffee that lingers on the end. And there's, as I'm talking over it, it's espresso. It's like I've had a shot of espresso. It's amazing how far that beer goes.
That is delicious.
It's great.
They have
great
that.
stuff.
They have that in
bottles up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some of those.
And then they have variants of it too that are specific barrels that they've found, like a vintage port, where there's a specific barrel that tastes perfect, and the vintner, the cellar master, whichever one will go, we're releasing this as a vintage. There's some barrels up there. They're like, it's a port barrel or something, and it's a something another, or it's an 8-year. So there's variants up there too that they release, and this is just the bomb. And on top of a bunch of other things, Dark Star not being one of the smallest of them, they do a big Imperial Stout that they have a bunch of variants of as well.
So this is their foundational beer.
I don't think so. It's the beer we have on draft right now, which is why we're drinking it.
But they build a bunch of other beers off of it.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Of the variants, this is the base beer. This is the beer, and then there's variants.
It's the foundational beer
for
all those bombs.
Yes.
Any bomb beer,
but not the foundational beer of Fremont,
which is actually
I thought you were saying. Sorry.
Bomb beer is really like bomb. Because it's abominable beer bomb.
Abominable beer bomb beer.
Bomb. It's fun to say. I'd order it just to get to go bomb.
Yes. That may be the way I start doing it now. A beep it up, beep it up. That's all, folks.
Well, if you had,
If you had 2 or 3 of these, it
yeah,
would
if you
be
had
all.
if you had a pint of this,
That's what this is the kind of beer that I tell people this is the go big and then go home beer.
well, I can only imagine what this would be like to let sit and get a little closer to room temperature.
Well, you're going to get a chance to do that.
I know.
Part of the magic of what we do is we pour ourselves a little small ones, but then over the course of the afternoon, we sip on these as we're packing up and as we're shooting more episodes. And as they warm up, man, some of these get really,
Oh yeah,
really fun.
I'm really looking forward to this one.
I remember, I think it was up at Barley's when we were still doing it up there, doing one where we got to the end of the day and we almost put the cameras back up.
Barley's.
God rest its soul. But I remember we almost put the cameras back up so we could do another episode of the beer after it had warmed up.
That's what a difference it made in how much better it was once it sort of got close to room temperature. I'm sure this is going to be outrageous.
Oh yeah, no, it's just going to get better and better the closer it comes to room temperature. And these beers aren't really designed to come all the way up to room temperature, but they, it pops out of the tap at 38. By the time it hits your glass, it's 40 when it gets to you, and it needs to get up to 55, 60 degrees before it's really opened up properly. So, sit there with your beer for a half an hour, let it warm up, stick it in your hands. We do this. You'll see us do this all the time. You'll see Psalms do it with wine too. We get a white wine, stick it in their hands and warm it up because it's too cold coming out of the fridge.
What you can do is you can pour one of these and then order something else.
Man,
and drink that.
It's one of my favorite tricks.
Well, this is getting to where you
it's
need
one
it
of my
to
favorite tricks. If I know I'm going to have something like this, I'll order that and something else.
Yeah.
And that's going to be my beers for the hour. 2 hours. I'm going to sit there and.
Yep.
That's it. That's it.
Anything else?
That's all, folks.
So damn lucky. See you next time.
I'll work on my Porky Pig impression.